Okay chaps, so I think we've got a handle on how related operates much the same as VLOOKUP does in regular Excel. Let's hop back to the sales table and get this show on the road. Now I'm just going to point out, normally we just click on here on this data view option to get back to the data model, but you can also do it down here right in the far right hand corner. We've got this little icon and you can alternate between the two, so your choice. Okay, so I'm on page 43 of the user guide and at question number 11. So it says select the sales table and insert a new column after the product key column. So here we are, going to right click here and just insert column. And we know, oh, I've just noticed as well that order date, I'll have to change that. Been messing around with my data model, guys. Okay, so we know now that although we insert a column, for example here, when we come back into the data model it will have shifted and it will be at the end. But it just helps us sometimes when you're building calculations to have the columns that you're referencing to be round about you. Well, it helps me. Okay, so we're going to call this sales category, sales dash category. Hit enter, and we're going to use the related function that will look up this value in the sales table but retrieve the product information and place it into our new sales category. So in the formula bar I can type directly and it's related. Now before I do anything here, can you just see the tip here? And it tells us that it returns a related value from another table. Great. Okay, so I'm just going to press tab to give us our opening parenthesis, and it's from the products table and it's the product category which is first in our list, tab and closing parenthesis and enter. So the related function has looked up the product key from the product table, used the relationship to the sales table to look for that value and then retrieve it and bring it back into our sales table. So the similarities to VLOOKUP are very strong, guys. So our objective is to recreate the filter in our pivot table of the number of clothing items sold to professionals. So we can filter the sales category, our new column, and select just clothing and OK. And if we look down on our status bar, we have 9,101 records. That doesn't quite match the 2,000, let's have a look, doesn't quite match the 2,889. But that is because, if we hop back over, that's the entire number of clothing items sold. So which two fields relate the customers table and the sales table? Let's just hop back over to our diagram view, and if we select the connector, the relationship connector between customers and sales, we can see that it's the customer key. Now in order for us to filter by occupation from within the sales table, we're going to have to bring over that information from the customers table. So I'm going to select order date, right click and insert a column and rename that column sales dash occupation and hit enter. And we'll do exactly the same thing again using related, and it is from the customers table. That's our first in our IntelliSense, and we'll select occupation and closing parenthesis and hit the enter key. So the relationship used the customer key, just highlighted here, in the sales table. Using related, it pulled that information from the customers table and provided our sales occupation column in the sales table. All we have to do now is filter by occupation, and we'll choose professional and click on OK. And voila, now guys, we can see that we have achieved the 2,889 records which is exactly the same as the figure displayed in our pivot table. Now, just to reiterate, guys, we didn't have to do this at all because the relationships between the tables allowed us to pull all of that information into the pivot table. My objective here really was just to show you how we can use related in order to pull information from various tables should we need it. And again, the real life examples are coming up in the practice exercises. We've got a number of filters in our data model at the moment, and if you're on the Home tab, you can clear all of your filters just by selecting in the Sort and Filter group this icon. And just to reassure you that if you do have filters left on, it has no bearing at all on the results that are shown in the pivot tables. Okay guys, so next up is relating the other way. So we're going to have a look at the related table function, and as I mentioned earlier on, it literally turns the tables. But more of that in the next video lecture. Look forward to seeing you there.